Hey guys, this is Wicked What Ifs coming to you with my first story. And I would like to thank all of you for watching and tuning in. And if you could, just hit that like button and subscribe if you like the video or if you like the idea of having some Wicked What Ifs coming your way, crossovers, anything of the like. I got it for you. And if you want to see a video made, just make sure you put a comment in and put what you want. And if enough likes get on it, I'll make it. Path of Pain is a Naruto and FairyTail crossover. The main character is Nagato Uzumaki. He is the twin brother of Erza Scarlet, and their mother is Irene. The story takes place in a fairy tale world predominantly. The hidden nations are a part of the fairy tale world, but they are mage nations, they are not ninjas. And you will see similar and familiar characters from the Naruto verse in this story. And without further ado, let's get going.
After centuries locked in her draconic form, where taste was strange, touch was dulled through scale and claw, and her loneliness knew no end in her solitude, she had finally stood before the dark wizard himself, a fearsome dragon that begged for her humanity back. And Zaref, in his naivety and brilliance, had granted her wish, but with every magic that worked against the laws of nature, there was always a cost to pay, and she had paid it unknowingly. She remembered the moment vividly, her towering dragon body unraveling like mist under his magic, reshaping itself into the woman she once was. Skin returned where scales had ruled, silken and pale. Red hair tumbled down her back like liquid fire, fingers instead of talons, a voice instead of a roar, a heart that beat, not thundered. She had wept, then laughed, mad with joy, as she touched her face, her arms, her chest. She was back. At first it was everything she dreamed of. She rushed into the world like a woman reborn. She drank fine wine in lavish taverns, ate fruits she had almost forgotten the names of, and bedded the first charming man who looked at her with desire. But none of it mattered. The wine was tasteless. The fruit, dirt. The sex, empty. Her body moved through the motions, but her nerves didn't sing. Her soul didn't stir. She couldn't even sleep. Nights passed in silence, her eyes wide open, haunted by the absence of dreams. No matter the potion, the drug, the spell, rest eluded her. And slowly, Irene began to crack. This body, this shell that Zaref had given her, was it truly human, or some cruel facsimile? A mockery of her former self dressed in flawless skin and hollow sensations. She had spent centuries as a dragon, but now in human form she felt her suffering increased so close to being normal, yet so far. However, one miracle did occur. Her belly grew large over the year after she had met Zaref, and when her water broke, she hadn't even felt it happen. She had given birth without pain, without effort. Throughout her time pregnant, she thought she wouldn't feel anything when she saw the baby. She thought she might react with anger. After all, they were that despicable men's children. The one that had faked his love for her, the one who grew jealous of her and betrayed her when she began to turn into a half-dragon, the one who locked her away and tortured her until she finally had to kill him, her former husband. She should hate his spawn. And yet, the sensation struck her like lightning, sharp, jarring, and alive. Not in her body, but in her soul when she looked down to what she held in her arms. Two red-haired infants lay in her trembling hands, a boy and a girl, tiny and perfect, their fragile chests rising with the shallow, rhythmic breath of new life. They were beautiful, too beautiful. She stared at them, caught between awe and horror. How could something so pure have come from her? A creature cloaked in human skin, a monster pretending to be a woman. She had no right to create life, especially not something this whole, this innocent, this untainted. Her grip tightened as she watched their small bodies move with each breath. The warmth of them seeped into her fingers, awakening maternal instincts she thought to be impossible. She could take care of them. No, no, no. What's she thinking? She should take over one of them and her suffering. Ideally, her daughter's body would be the perfect vessel, a flawless shell for her soul. She could imprint her consciousness, bury the child's undeveloped mind deep within, and she would feel, taste, sleep, breathe, love, live again. The temptation clawed at her, savage and seductive, but she couldn't. Even now, with the power and opportunity in her hands, she couldn't do it. Her lips trembled. Her heart, if it could still be called that, ached with a grief too ancient for tears. And so, in the blink of an eye, she vanished using ancient magic that glowed red, and reappeared outside a quiet village she had passed in her travels long ago. A modest place, peaceful, stable. In another life, she had imagined growing old here, maybe with a family, maybe with a lover. She walked through the sleepy village. No one was awake at these hours, and if they were, they paid her no mind. She walked until she came upon a large house one would consider a small mansion. In front of the house, her eyes landed on a worn wooden sign, Rosemary Orphanage. She stepped forward, gently placing the swaddled twins, Erza and Nagato, on the cold stone steps of the front door. With a soft incantation, she etched their names onto the cloth in warm, glowing script, her magic curling like firelight in the night air. But she did not give them her last name. Belsarion was a name soaked in ruin, tainted by war, betrayal, madness, and blood. It was better they never knew it, better they never knew her. They would survive, thrive. They had gestated in her womb for over 400 years while she was a dragon. They would be strong. They would protect each other, love each other, and maybe, just maybe, live a life free of the torment she had endured. She looked down one last time, memorizing every delicate detail of their faces, every faint flutter of breath. For the briefest moment, she allowed herself to imagine the impossible. What kind of mother she might have been, had fate been kinder to her. Then solemnly, she raised her hand. Knock, knock, knock. 3 sharp raps against the wooden door, loud enough to rouse the caretakers, if the annoyed groans of an older man and woman getting out of bed were heard by Irene's enhanced hearing. By the time the couple opened the door, she was gone back to Alvarez, back to finding a cure for herself by any means possible. Chapter 1. Rosemary Nagato had always been frail, a fragile 10-year-old boy in a harsh world, often hiding behind his twin sister Erza. She was his protector, his shield against the cruelty of their orphaned existence. When their mother Irene left them as babies in the care of a quiet village far from the chaos of war, they knew peace for a time. The villagers became their family, raising them as their own. But peace is usually fleeting. One day the cult of Zaref came without warning. A storm of dark magic tore through the village, killing all who resisted. The adults, their adopted family among them, were slaughtered where they stood. Only the able-bodied children were spared, herded like cattle by the black-robed cultists. Those too young, too weak, or too broken to be of use were discarded without mercy. Nagato trembled as the chaos unfolded, clutching Erza's arm as their world burned around them. When one of the dark mages stepped forward, his hood obscuring all but a cruel smirk, Erza pushed her brother behind her, arms spread wide. She wouldn't let anyone hurt him, not while she could still stand. Looks like this one's got some fight in her, the mage sneered, motioning toward Erza. She'll fetch a good price. But this runt... His eyes narrowed at Nagato, who cowered behind his sister. Dram, why'd you even bother bringing him? Trash like this won't survive the docks. Another hooded man grabbed Nagato's arm, yanking him away from Erza and the group of sobbing children. No! Get away from my brother! Erza screamed, lunging toward the mage. But a blast of wind magic knocked her back, sending her sprawling in the sand. Blood trickled from cuts along her arms as she struggled to her feet, only to be held down by another dark mage's magic. Nagato stumbled as he was dragged onto the beach, the burning remnants of their village painting the horizon in flickering shades of red and black. The mage, towering over him, sneered, his fingers curling into a grotesque mimicry of strangling hands. "Well, kid," the mage said, dark magic circles forming around his fingers. "I'd say I hate to do this, but I really don't." Dark magic, stranglehold. Nagato's body convulsed as an invisible force clamped around his throat. He clawed at his neck, purple-ringed eyes wide with terror. He fell to the sand, gasping and kicking, his frail frame no match for the malevolent magic. "Stop it, please, stop!" Erza screamed, struggling against her captor, tears streaking her dirt-stained face. "He's just a kid!" The lead mage sneered, his outstretched hand glowing with energy. "You should be grateful, girl. Your brother's leaving this cruel world behind. As for you, you'll spend the rest of your miserable life mining Etherian for Lord Zaref's resurrection." Nagato's vision blurred, the smoke-filled sky above him dimming as he reached a trembling hand toward the fading sunlight. His body went limp, fingers falling into the sand. "Nagato!" Urza's scream tore through the air, raw and guttural, as she collapsed onto the deck of the ship. Chains rattled as two other children tried to comfort her, their own tears flowing freely. "All right, men," the lead mage barked. "We've got a good haul this time. Set sail for the Tower of Heaven and show our cargo the hospitality they'll be enjoying for the rest of their lives." The ship's crew erupted in sinister laughter as the captives were herded below deck. The burning village faded into the distance, taking with it the last remnants of Erza's childhood. 10 years later. "The guild's up that path," the scarred man stammered, his voice trembling as he pointed toward the forest. "Take the second left. Please, just let me go." A shadow fell over him, blotting out the faint sunlight. The tall figure with crimson hair and ringed purple eyes stepped forward, his black cloak billowing slightly in the wind. "Six paths magic, animal path," Nagato intoned, his voice cold. A glowing magic circle appeared at his feet, and with a burst of light, a massive bird with eerie matching eyes materialized. It took flight, soaring northward toward the guild. "He tells the truth," Nagato said, brushing past the man without a second glance. "Conan, finish it. We have work to do." The blue-haired woman at his side, a paper spear hovering ominously above her hand. "As you wish." She spoke in a monotone way. Nagato disappeared into the forest, the heavy sound of his boots fading into the distance. Conan turned back to the trembling man, her paper wings rustling softly as they unfurled. "Wait!" the man cried, falling to his knees. "I swear I'll change. I'll leave the guild, turn my life around. Just spare me." Conan's cold gaze didn't waver. "The Dark Knights, your guild traffics innocent lives. To join, you spilled blood. Tell me, does mercy come to those you've murdered?" The man opened his mouth to respond, but Conan's spear fragmented into dozens of razor-sharp paper shards. They struck with unrelenting precision, leaving his body riddled with holes. He collapsed with a final choking gasp. Conan sighed, brushing a strand of hair from her face as her wings carried her into the air. "You were right, Nagato," she muttered, flying after him. "This world doesn't deserve mercy." The Dark Knight's hideout loomed in the forest, clearing a massive fortress of stone and iron, its grim facade a testament to the guild's vile deeds. The air was thick with tension as Nagato approached, his black cloak billowing around him. His Rinnegan eyes, glowing with a distinct, otherworldly purple, gleamed coldly in the dim light. Standing in the shadows just outside the gates, Nagato raised his hand. His voice, low and filled with calm menace, echoed through the stillness. "Almighty push!" A sudden, deafening boom shattered the forest. An invisible force erupted outward, obliterating the fortress. Stone walls disintegrated, cement and bricks flung high into the air like leaves in a storm. Trees snapped in half, crashing to the ground in a cascade of splinters. Inside, screams filled the air as the guild members were hurled like rag dolls, many crushed beneath the rubble, others left broken and barely clinging to life. Dust and debris hung thick in the air as Nagato stepped forward, untouched by the devastation. His boots crunched over shattered stone as he strode through the ruins. The bodies of the dark knights littered the ground, groaning or lifeless, but Nagato spared them no attention. His focus was singular. At the heart of the wreckage, the guildmaster emerged, a hulking man named Garrus Felden, his fiery orange hair streaked with soot and blood. Despite his injuries, he managed to stand, his eyes wide with a mixture of fear and rage. You, you monster! Garrus spat, clutching his side as he glared at Nagato. What are you? What kind of power is this? Nagato stopped a few paces away, his Rinnegan eyes cold and unyielding. You're the guildmaster, aren't you? Then you'll answer my questions. And if I don't, Garrus sneered, trying to mask his terror with bravado. Nagato's voice dropped, laced with chilling certainty. Then you'll know pain. For a moment, Garrus hesitated, but then fiery chains erupted from his arms, glowing like molten lava. I don't answer to anyone, he roared, the chains crackling with power as they lashed toward Nagato. Nagato didn't flinch. With a subtle motion of his hand, he whispered, Almighty push. A focused shockwave rippled from Nagato, deflecting the chains effortlessly. They shattered mid-air, their molten fragments sizzling into the ground. Garrus stumbled back, sweat beading on his forehead. Before Garrus could recover, Nagato raised his arm. Mechanical components hummed to life, transforming his arm into a multi-barreled energy cannon, glowing with deadly intent. Six Paths Magic, Asura Mode. Energy blasts roared from Nagato's cannon, ripping through the air with unrelenting force. Garrus summoned more fiery chains in desperation, using them as shields to block the barrage. At first, he managed to hold his ground, but Nagato's onslaught was relentless. Then, with a flick of his other arm, Nagato summoned a second energy cannon. The combined firepower overwhelmed Garrus, forcing him to his knees as the blasts broke through his defenses. A final, searing shot struck him in the chest, sending him crashing into a pile of rubble. Blood oozed from his wounds as he groaned, clutching his side. You've lost, Nagato said, his voice devoid of emotion. Now answer me. Where is the cult of Zaref operating? And have you heard of a woman named Erza? She looks like me? Garrus coughed, his defiance crumbling under the weight of his injuries. The Tower of Heaven, he wheezed. That's where the cult operates. It's a prison. For slaves. They're mining Etherian to bring back Zaref. And the girl. Erza. Yes, I know of her. The Queen of the Fairies is what they call her. She's there. They've marked her as one of their prime sacrifices recently. Nagato's fists clenched at the mention of his sister, a flicker of guilt crossing his face. Erza, he murmured. Finally, I've found you. He turned away, his cloak swishing as he began to walk toward the forest. Garrus, still trembling, called after him, hope creeping into his voice. You're letting me go. You won't kill me? Nagato paused but didn't turn. His voice was calm, yet icy. You're right. I won't kill you. Relief washed over Garrus's face as he slumped back, breathing heavily. But his reprieve was short-lived. A low, guttural growl rumbled behind him, and the ground trembled as a massive three-headed dog materialized from Nagato's magic. Its glowing purple eyes mirroring Nagato's Rinnegan locked onto Garrus. No! No, please, Garrus screamed, scrambling backward. We had a deal. You promised. Nagato glanced over his shoulder, his expression cold and indifferent. I said I wouldn't kill you, not that you wouldn't die. You bastard! Ah! Garrus screamed at Nagato's retreating form. The three-headed dog lunged, tearing into Garrus with savage ferocity. His screams echoed through the ruins, turning to wet gurgles as the beast ripped him apart, limb by limb. Blood splattered across the debris, soaking into the earth. As the cries faded, Nagato continued walking, his voice low but resolute. The pain you've caused the world ends here. The beast dissolved into smoke, leaving only silence in its wake. Nagato stepped into the forest, his path clear and his resolve unshaken. Erza, I'm coming for you. Forgive me for taking so long.
And that's all, folks. Thank you for tuning in to my first YouTube video. I hope you like it. Leave a like and subscribe, and also leave a comment, to let me know what kind of what ifs you're looking forward to. Any stories I might do for you, or just let me know what I could change about this, or tell me how much you liked it. And make sure you like and subscribe again, and you have a great and wonderful day.